And we are live. Welcome to episode 7 of Lucifer Died for Our podcast, Geeked Out Nation's semi-official The Wicked and the Divine podcast. Each month we talk about the current issue of The Wicked and the Divine by Kieran Gillen, Jamie McKelvey, and Matt Wilson, with letters by Clayton Cowles. And needless to, in a bit of an understatement, this is kind of a big deal, this issue.
Kind of a big deal indeed. This is going to be good.
Yes. Uh-oh. Feels kind of early. Soup?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Jeff. Right.
Here I am.
Technical difficulty, folks.
Did you see that thing with the stuff? That was pretty good things with stuff, right?
Yeah, I see we could blame this on a non-gay. Or Baphomet.
Yes.
Yes.
Co-host, if you guys want to introduce yourselves real quick.
There we go.
You're back.
Hey, you're back. Welcome back.
I'm Genovia Dunze. I'm a co-editor for Geeked Out Nation. And
All right. I'm Soup Owens Fowler. I'm a contributor to Geeked Out Nation, and I'm a dark cowboy today.
Alright, so let's jump right into this issue. This was a big deal. The cover, I think we talked about the cover in previous episodes, that we were nervous. But for those of you not looking at the cover is just someone's body with no head, which is obviously very delightful. We're obviously going to read a very happy comic with lots of laughs.
It's a comedy on the level of kids.
So, this issue, this is, I don't know where we should start. I guess we'll start at the beginning. That's usually the best place to start. Laura here is talking about not being a god and how she's kind of fighting with herself internally that she was probably delusional, but maybe she was just a quitter.
Yeah.
And, she doesn't understand what happened because, like we said, the mystery of who murdered Lucy, that was wrapped up so quickly.
That was like the whole thing we spend most of our time on. Is like, what is this murder mystery? How's it going to play out? What are the details? That's a clue. That's a sign. And then all of a sudden, hey, here you go with a little bow. The answers that you've been questioning is, but, and this is going to be the meat of our show, I'm sure, they kind of substitute all of that intensity with the intensity of their own, the creators, that is, in a nice little plot turn of events. So let's start where we're back at the beginning, right? With Laura.
And she's going home. She's going home. She's talking about Lucy and the rest of the Pantheon and how she refuses to give up on any of them. She says she wants to help them. But she also makes the very sad and foreshadowy statement of no one gets a happy ending. But she says after that she's going to try to make sure that they get the least terrible one possible. And cue Ananke in Laura's backyard. And the two of them are going to have a very interesting discussion that will step on all of our hearts and make us read this whole comic book thing. And so then, to add some tension, we jump to Inanna, who is in church, basically just giving out love and excitement and just jubilance at his residency in London. And he is met by Baphomet, and the two of them go at it.
In a violent way, that is.
Yeah,
It was a nice, happy magic orgy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even Baphomet himself kind of was like, this is what everybody wants, is to get invited to these things. Well, I don't know if I can do it. I felt that there was a little, I could just stop this whole kill everybody plan and just jump right in right now, and that would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't. He didn't make that decision. He decided to attack because, well,
Because the evil voice in his head convinced him to.
it was his head.
But I think you bring up a really interesting point about Baphomet, that he was going to be there to, he kind of says, he could be part of that, and he's not. I think that's part of his fear, because as we've seen him before, he's living with the Morrigan in the underground. So obviously he has taken part in all of the things the gods do, all the parties, all the celebration. But now he's scared, so he's lashing out. So it's more like his fear has overtaken him because he's scared of dying, and that kind of makes him like really sad, and you really want to give him a hug.
But then you don't, because, oh gosh, guy,
Right?
he's so good at not completing what he wants. Just
No.
good at being fail.
Yeah.
And it's so sad.
Like
Even
a
when it's
full
gold.
package.
Yeah. So, but that was semi-successful.
Yeah. He turns Inanna upside down on a cross, which is just like so goth.
That's
uh,
superpower. You can just summon a crucifix at. I mean, no, goth.
So he turns him upside down, and he gets really mad. And after Inanna, really tells him, he's like, you don't get it. He's like you're petrified, and it's like, you could kill me and you'll live a little bit longer, but it doesn't mean you're any more alive, because the fear is still controlling him. So he flips out and blows up the church, because that's what you do when you're like a demigod and you're angry and scared, and you're none more goth. That's what you do.
Yeah, pretty much. That's it. That's exactly what you do.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because this is a really big scene, because this is something that's been building up for a couple of issues now, that Baphomet was going to kill Cassandra, he was going to kill multiple different people, and settled on Inanna, and then maybe he did it. I don't think he did. I don't think they're dead.
I am in your camp too. I do not think that they're dead.
No.
I think he's dead.
No. I'm sorry. As we were discussing before, I belong to the school of thought that if you don't see the body, they are not dead. And even
Agreed.
I read more than enough series where my balls have been kicked, and you know what? I'm taking that approach right now, where I'm not gonna let them kick me in the balls before I find out that he's dead. So I'm gonna say he's dead. He's dead. He's on fire. He's incinerated. No more Prince. That purple ranger's turned to red.
Oh.
did so well though, and Nana was great.
He represented the hope. There was that little glimmer of hope and innocence, and it's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, you can't kill hope and innocence. They're
No. No, I think if we're gonna take bets on who's dead and who's alive, I think Inanna is alive, and I think if anyone's gonna be dead, it's Baphomet. Only because it would be fitting that all of it literally blows up in his face, literally.
Oh my god, it's so poetic and true. I mean, how else would an epic fail end?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It would be. It's gonna be if it's true. I mean, it's sad, but I've now gotten to the point because of this issue where I'm not allowing myself to be attached to anyone anymore.
Fuck all of it. Fuck. I just, God, really? But we'll get there.
I mean, but there still had to be that one person who posted that cover to, I think, to one of the later issues, and you see Inanna, you see Bao holding Inanna as if he's dead. So, I have to stick with this one. I'm not letting go.
Well, that's a fair point, because the variants that have come out have actually the main covers tend to just feature a character, but the variant covers have kind of reflected some part of the story. There's the Lucy with the David Bowie image where she's in jail. That ends up happening. There's the Cassandra variant where she's become a god. That ends up happening. I think what else? So the variants do to an extent reflect a little bit of the story. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case here, but I also think that maybe he's not dead in that image. I think you could say he is dead, but I think you could also say he isn't dead because he's being held. So maybe he's unconscious, or maybe he's like fading out or something, and Ball is there to like
Oh.
kind of comfort, because obviously there is something between them.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, and I think it's very sweet. Mostly because I make a lot of jokes that he's exactly like he is Kanye, so it's kind of sweet that he's written with this heart of gold, because in many ways Kanye sort of is the same way when it comes to his his family. So I think it's kind of cute, but yeah. So the cover might be right. It's quite possible. Um,
Allow me to retort.
yeah, go ahead.
Inanna is the bastion of hope. And variant schmariants, I'm gonna oh, damn it. That's it. Period. My argument is
Uh,
The cover is quite beautiful though.
yeah, it is.
all the covers are beautiful. It's a renaissance just to see this kind of artwork on the shelves, just looking out at you. It's awesome.
It is the cover for Wick Div 12, for those of you who are interested in this. It is on Kieran Gillen's Tumblr. I don't really use Tumblr, so I don't know if that's easy to find. But that is the first cover of the guest artist arc. Kate Brown of Young Avengers #6 is the guest artist, and that's the cover she did.
And shout out to the Wictiv Facebook page. Those guys, they love these covers so much that we get frequent pictures on there of just their covers, some of them on the wall. And I'm like, of course. It makes so much sense. So it's awesome.
They're on top of this stuff. Like I write for 2 different sites, and I'm like online all the time looking for like what's going on. And these people are posting these things before I even see it. So they're really on top of things, and I respect them. So
if you're listening, you should like at least look them up because you're so into the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So are we.
They give some really cool theories. That if we tried to break them down on here, it would be a very time-consuming thing, and it's an amazing read. The threads that happen are great. So it's the Wicked and the Divine fans on Facebook. It's a small group, but it's very worthwhile. Very worthwhile. Especially recently, there's been a lot more activity. So definitely check that out. Now, so we move back into now the rest of the issue is like. This is it. So again, if you're listening and you don't want this spoiled, you have to get off of here now.
Bye bye.
So
to us by now, you know.
Yeah.
We're gonna let's get it. Let's do it.
So Laura and Ananke we're back in Laura's backyard. They're having this conversation, and Ananke is telling her that she's seen a lot of people like Laura who are full of hope and excitement, and they end up with the taste of ashes in their mouth, which is a really good sentence. That's a really good sentence. But so she tells her, that the victory is yours, that she is not a god, so she's escaped, and because she's seen what being a god has done to all these people, and it's not good. And Laura says, but she still wants it, and it's complicated because she does feel stupid, and she does hate herself for it because this is the thing about Laura, she isn't stupid. She knows what it's done, but she does want it, which is kind of her age, I think, and kind of her she's a bit naive to an extent. I'm not like I love Laura, but she is a little naive, And so this triggers Ananke to reveal that Laura is Persephone. And it's a big deal because I think for the longest time we were like, oh, Laura's a god, or is she going to take over and be the next Ananke? So
Since
they,
I
so
was
she's,
wrong.
yeah, I think initially we all thought, at least a couple of us thought she would be a god. Then I think most of us got into the camp of, well, she might be the next Ananke type of role.
yep,
So, so we ended up backtracking, and now she is Persephone, and they hug, and she's really, really excited, and she wants to tell Inanna because she really is into him, and they're very good friends. And then she's gonna sing, and the next thing we see is a narration where she is feeling the power, and she's feeling divine, and then snap of the fingers, Laura is dead. And
Taking the
she,
ball.
oh, a
That was
snap
a pun.
fingers.
yeah, and she's basically a smoldering pile of ashes, and Ananke then kills her parents, blows up her house, and that's how the issue ends.
Damn,
Yep.
that's
It is heartbreaking. It is so sad. Ugh. Ugh. I was yelling at my computer screen because I was reading this digitally. I was screaming. I was like, first I was like, oh my god, she's Persephone. That's so perfect. If you know the story of Persephone, like, it's perfect.
oh cool.
Oh, she did.
I mean, I remember when I was reading it, and as soon as that splash page of Laura's redesign happened, I dropped my phone because I was reading a digital copy on my phone, and I had to message you and say, "Oh my god, oh my god, did you finish it?" Oh, I'll get back to that. And then I came
Yep.
just capital letters and stabbing of my keyboard. They killed Laura. Let's let that sink in for a second. She's like, this book's everything, and the heart and soul of the book has been Laura since panel one, pretty much. And they just out of nowhere. And you just like my theory of you can't really tell if somebody's dead if you see the body. Well, no, I didn't see her decapitated head, but I saw her brains all over Hanake. She's dead. But in the spirit of hope and her good friend Inanna, she did have a little bit of dialogue afterwards.
Mhm.
See, but I'm telling you, I saw it coming because Ananke was over here saying, no, it's saying you'll get to tell him in time, which kind of, I mean, it's weird because it makes you wonder at what time did Inanna die, and at what time are these two meeting, because it feels like she already knew at that point Inanna's dead, and then it's just vaguely saying, yeah, you're going to meet up with him very soon. But
Ugh.
but as a whole, the whole thing is impressive because a lot of the time, these creative teams they want to hold our hand. They want to tell us everything's gonna be all right. Your favorite character's gonna make it to the end, and they just flipped the world upside down, killed her, and said,
Get
no,
it.
your main character is gone.
Yeah.
Just fun. I mean, that's some ballsy shit. It just
It's heartbreaking. It's very sad to see happen. Now,
it's
oh no,
another
go ahead.
wedding shoved into your heart.
Yeah.
Just infinite red weddings. That's the equivalent to somebody who doesn't know what
It is.
they're talking about.
That, you know what? That's an amazing analogy. That's exactly what it is. The first time seeing the red. It's exact. Yeah.
It's hard for us. It's
It
hard
is.
to.
It is. Now, the thing about Laura turning into Persephone, this is actually a very suiting personification for her, actually. Um, because Laura comes off very innocent. Um, she's not an idiot, but she's more innocent than some of the other characters, and she still has a lot of hope and optimism in her worldview. Persephone did too.
Yeah, that's true.
Persephone did too until Hades kidnapped her and made her his wife, and thus becoming the queen of the underworld.
Indeed.
Yeah. So it's kind of a suiting god for her to become. But now it's also interesting in if this is who she's gonna always. I mean, it's suiting, and there's something that I kind of theorized with it, which actually kind of makes this even sadder. um, my theory is the way Persephone's story works is she is taken from the world and forced to become Hades' wife, and she becomes queen of the underworld. She eventually does accept this role and fall in love with Hades, but her mother Demeter misses her. And Demeter is the goddess of the harvest, which is basically like she doesn't do her job, then it's cold and there's famine and things like that. So eventually a deal is worked out where Persephone gets to come back to Earth for a few months out of the year, and that's the explanation for sort of like how the seasons happen. When she's not on Earth, it's winter and fall, and when she is on Earth, it's spring and summer. So my theory is that Persephone is a constant, and when whoever is taking the role of Persephone is on Earth, things for the gods go pretty well. As it gets closer to her turning into Persephone and then being killed, things start to go bad. And I think I'm pretty proud of this theory because I think it works. I think it works pretty well. Once Laura gets into the orbit of all the gods, you can kind of see where things start to fall apart a little bit. Lucy gets killed. Um, there starts this huge disconnect between all the gods, and I mean we haven't even really seen any kind of characterization for Tara yet, so she's not even around. And then somebody like Cassandra, I think, gets a little bit more likable as things go on, as Laura becomes part of her orbit, and then now that we got closer to when Laura is supposed to die, things start going kind of crazy, and Inanna and Baphomet may have like literally blown up into a million little pieces, and Cassandra in the last issue had that whole meltdown, and yeah, so I think that as you get closer to when Persephone is supposed to die, that's when things kind of go off the rails because she's returning back to the underworld, the city of death, basically, and that maybe is a signal of this cycle being pretty much done. Yeah, that's just my theory, but I think that there's something to that. I don't, obviously, none of these characters were picked accidentally, but I think there's definitely something to picking Persephone for Laura. And I think, as she says, there's the short, I assume you mentioned it, there's a piece of dialogue right after she dies. She says, I don't remember anything after that. I guess I'm grateful.
Yep.
Yep. Exactly. I mean, that's past tense.
Yeah, and Persephone is a goddess that is a cycle. She is literally a cycle. She represents a cycle. So Persephone, I think, might be a constant, and I don't think we're done with her.
I think that's an excellent theory, especially considering previously, as you mentioned, we had a parallel of the stories between her namesake and Cassandra.
Yeah.
I mean, that was extremely within the confines of the myth, but still perfectly suited to the world that was created. And this, based on your theory, that would fit very well into exactly what's going on, but it doesn't undercut the fact that we just had Laura killed.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that. That's a moment right there in the whole series. In fact, I would even go so far as to say that's the second one right after Lucy's death.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a shock factor when it comes to Lucy getting killed because we were led to believe that she was this again, Game of Thrones. like Ned Stark, we're led to believe that she's this major, major character that's going to last throughout the whole thing, and then a couple issues in, well, you're dead. Like Ned Stark. Okay, well, there you go, you're dead too. And it's like, wow, okay, and it shakes you up. But this, I think, is even crazier because Laura is, I mean, for all, if you really look at it, Laura is the protagonist. This is her book. So what do you do now? She's dead.
That's where I'm at. What's going on now? But in this theory, you kind of sparked my idea for how this all fits into play. Maybe this whole book, the whole story from beginning, middle, and end, is Tara's story.
I mean, It might be. We've had her name dropped. She's going to be the main cover of the next issue. We don't know anything about her. We've never met her. Maybe she appeared on a panel, but we don't know her. We don't know her.
Times we have and that's why she's the biggest motivator for that whole idea, because that space to fit in your series-wide protagonist, kind of like how Saga is doing with Hazel. We know she's somewhere in the future, and she's the hero. We know this.
Yeah, and you have to assume she's the winner because history is written by the winners, and she's writing this story. She's writing that story. So yeah.
And the one thing I want to point out is even when Ananke does seem surprised about what's going on, she still sounds as if everything going on was premeditated.
Sure.
She came there knowing that she was going to kill Laura. She came there knowing there was a 13. Well, I already forgot. There was another god. It feels like she came there with a lot of prior knowledge about this, and you don't even know how long this cycle has been going on. She's probably been killing Persephone all these years.
And that's a credit to Jamie McKelvey, because you can really look into their souls and see these nuanced little changes within them. And you got that. Exactly what you said. You got that from Ananke. You got where she's like, oh my gosh, we have to do this part now. Can we really not do this part?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you really need to? Okay, I guess we're doing this now. And you got that body language and facial features and everything.
Well, if you look at the panel where is it? There's a panel. Okay, when Laura's parents come out of the house and they realize what happened, Ananke says, "Forgive me, I should have left more swiftly. Some murders are necessary, others are not." The panel where she snaps her fingers and says, "Others are not," there's tears in her eyes.
Oh, yes.
You can see on her left, there's tears coming down her face.
Yes, that is correct. So she's not a useless monster. She's just a monster at this point.
But that does signal that there's something else going along with this. That's why it does come off preordained that she isn't happy doing this, because why else would you cry?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So she's almost forced to do this. But now I wonder if there is a Hades somewhere around here. Is that where, because they run in cycles, these gods. So where do they go in between cycles? That has me now thinking that there is an underworld of some kind.
Clue to that is the transitional page that each mortal has when they become a god. The sea of deity is like the labyrinth hands, only like all of the pieces. And that is your clue there. That there is something else. It does exist, and we're dealing with a book that has gods walking in an iPod. So why
this is just so crazy. I'm trying to think of times. I mean, I think there's been some people saying that Wictive is always, some of the more negative reviews have always been, a Wictive always ends with some big shocker, and it's like, oh, what crazy thing will happen next? As if that's a bad thing, because it's almost like they rely on the shock value. But I think this is partially why I'm such a big Brian K. Vaughan fan, he and Kieran Gillen, I think, know how to script a single issue.
Yes.
In my opinion, you're reading a series, you have to have a reason to come back for the next issue. It's very easy to get bored and drop something. But if you have a writer who can say, this is how we're going to script this, so there's a huge cliffhanger at the end that may not change everything, but does change does have a bearing on what directly happens next. Brian K. Vaughan does this in every issue of Saga.
Yes, he does.
And every issue of Saga everything ends on a cliffhanger, all of them, and it makes you want to come back. I think Kieran Gillen is doing a really similar thing with Wictive. I can't imagine somebody reading up to issue 11, reading this issue, and then not coming back for 12. I can't imagine that. I cannot imagine it.
If you've made it this far, that person does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine it, but I love that that's how this is scripted.
Yes.
Because it's very exciting to me. It's very exciting to get a comic that doesn't necessarily, that knows that it's an ongoing, and is like, no, we're going to use this ongoing format and make you come back. I love that.
Like, because shock value, okay, that's something you throw into the category of something that's established, something that's gone on long enough that they would depend on that kind of formula to keep things going. This is something that's new, it's creative, it's constantly growing, it's its own being. The story, it has its own mythology to it. So when something big happens, it happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And like the funny thing is that even my older brother sees this too. He's a comic fan, but he's not like a big comic fan. I think he said he's maybe about 2 or 3 issues in. But like the main reason, the big reason he got into it also is because Wake Div is becoming also a big thing on Tumblr. He said because he almost lives there, so he's seen it all over the place recently.
Oh, I imagine so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the reason why Wick Div is a different book than, say, an Evil Ernie comic is because the reason why it's shocking is because you're invested in the story and the characters so much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would not be shocking in and of itself compared to some other things that are pure gratuitousness, but these shocking things or these cliffhanging moments, they constructed in such a way that the only way you're even going to get that emotional high off it being a cliffhanger or shocking is because you love them so much.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this killed me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It really made me analyze my relationship with fiction, like all of it, not just comics, but all of it. Like, I am invested in this character so much so I've poured real emotion into their well-being, and I felt safe because that was my protagonist of the whole thing. That was the heart and soul of the book. You do away with that, then you have a shell of a book. And then I read issue 11, and I have a shell of myself.
It's an amazing book. It really is.
Yeah, like I think at this point, writers, creative teams all over are really starting to get the idea of how to approach these fantasy titles in a way that keeps you coming back for more. I mean, you see the same thing with titles like Birthright, with Wayward. They're all new approaches, and and there's just no reason why you wouldn't want to get to know these characters.
Oh, yes. And comics, I say this all the time, but comics are a medium that does things that no other medium can do. You can't, out of a good comic like this that affects us so much, you can't really get the same kind of inspiration and motivation through any other way exactly as it was presented, with words and pictures interacting with each other. It's a unique experience to read a comic book. That's why we love them so much. But when something like this comes along and changes everything that you know, it's made me decide to not quit reading comics, honestly. They're still there.
I think. Yeah. No, I completely agree with both of you guys, and I think as far as this issue goes, the last page of this is kind of makes you hurt even more because you get all the pantheon, you get the symbols, and then right in the middle it says it was never going to be okay. And it's
Yep.
like, well, now you tell me, right? And yeah, I think that's such a somber note to end the story arc on. And so I'm now going to ask you guys, what did you think? Any thoughts on the arc as a whole? Where did this go?
Bandini.
Yeah. So Fandemonium is the title of this arc, which I kind of love. The cover for the second trade was really nice too. It has the Ragnarok guest badge, all glittery. It's very nice. But yeah, so thoughts on this arc as a whole? I guess in comparison to the first arc. Yeah, and any thoughts on the last what five
Uh,
issues? 5 issues.
for me, I liked for the fact that with this story arc, it became a lot more than what it could have been. We could have easily dragged on this whole thing with Lucy, but no, we're way past that. It felt like with this story arc from the minute it started, we were trying to build up a story where it wasn't just about Lucy, it wasn't just about Laura. There was a big picture out there, and this story arc went to try to grab it. It tried to give us the questions, answers, just anything that would keep us moving to the very end.
I thought it was like Empire Strikes Back. I mean, it's that it felt like that second chapter that guts you at the end, but is necessary to progressing to forward, and yet is not mired in being on what the world is. As soon as you know what the world is, and you live there now, and you do if you're reading it, and then at the end, it just because can you imagine somebody never reading any of these comics as we do when they come out, right? And they're just trade reading, and they get to trade. They've read the first one, and they're on board, and then they read the second one to the end. And this is
Hmm.
it. That is, oh, it's probably worse for them than for us because they have to wait even longer. The third,
Exactly.
oh, but it's the way it was constructed. Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey, Matt Wilson, everybody on board that book, they know exactly what they're doing. They've got the plan, and this issue really, or this whole arc, solidifies that it's a lot bigger than what they showed us. And I
Mhm.
love it. And I hate that.
Yeah, I think this arc was really, really good in the way that it was written. Because I think a lot of the character development was even stronger because so much of the groundwork had already been done. So you were able to take pretty much a year of work, this whole year of a story, and it didn't feel dragged out. It didn't feel there was no issue that felt unnecessary. It didn't feel like there was any kind of filler issue. It just felt like every single panel means something, and I think that's kind of hard to come by, even in books that I absolutely love. There's always that one issue that just feels like, well, does this really need to be looked at, or could we have moved on a little bit? And I think that Jamie McKelvey and Matt Wilson just got even better and better and better as it went on. And I think this issue is gorgeous because it does a lot of the really cool color things, like in Inanna's residency. That pink was beautiful. The pinks and purples, in contrast to how Baphomet looks, it was beautiful. And Laura's final appearance as
Oh,
Persephone, that is like the best outfit ever. I can't wait to see it cosplayed. I'm so serious. I cannot wait to see people do it.
God,
Yeah.
iconic. It was awesome. It hit every nail on the head.
Beautiful.
It hit every nail on the head, and you only got to admire it for about three,
Oh,
4 pages.
Yep.
it's
Oh,
beautiful. I mean, I think her final outfit it's different, I think, from the rest of the gods because I think it looks like something someone could wear to like a music festival.
Hmm.
Like
It's
I think some of them are they're a little too obviously you're the performer. You know, you look like you're about to get on stage to perform. But Laura kind of looked like she was really well done up for like a big music festival. Like she still retained a lot of her appearance as a fan.
mm,
Hmm.
she was goth iconic. That's what it was. It was
It was
great.
It's a beautiful outfit. It's beautiful, and I like that even though it was a night scene, you were still able to appreciate the colors that were coming off of it. Her hair, especially, her hair is like on a whole other level. Like I need to see this cosplay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, any other thoughts about this issue before we move on to the last little bit of news we have?
I didn't read this issue. I just felt it, and it hurts.
Yeah,
Suffer for
yeah,
your fun.
yeah,
It's true. I let's
yeah.
each one. Let's do it. We're her the news.
All right. Yeah. So, I think we've just talked about it a little bit as like a dream. But The Wicked and the Divine has actually been optioned for a television series. By uh, Milk-Fed Criminals. Milk-Fed
Who?
Criminals is Milk-Fed Criminals is the company that is run by Kelly Sue DeConnick and Matt Fraction.
Oh,
This is yeah.
yep.
This is their first. Yeah, this is the first television series that they've optioned. That isn't theirs. They've optioned their own work, but
Mm,
this of the two of them. So it doesn't have. I mean, when we say it's optioned, that means it might become a TV show. There's no one attached to direct it. There's no one attached to write it. It's still extremely, very, 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 very early. And not to be the downer, but it may not happen. It's still that early.
yep.
Yeah. So this is a big deal because I think this of all the more recent pickups, I think this one really lends itself to television to an extent. I'm excited. I really want to see it happen, but I have my concerns. But let's be positive for now. And yeah, so what do you guys think of this? Are you like are you into this becoming a TV show, or would you kind of rather it just stay as a comic book?
I'm into it becoming a TV show, and that is because of Kelly Sue and Matt. Because you know that they're going to push for as true to the source material as the creators themselves want to go. And that
Mm-hmm.
itself makes me just like, oh my God, this is going to be good. This could very potentially be this. But
Yeah.
you remember the Global Frequency pilot?
Yeah. Yeah.
Glenn Ellis had his great comic book that was Global Frequency, and each issue was episodic, and it was like really great for
Yeah.
like transition. And they made a pilot out of it that was fantastic. It was like I would watch this show like to the balls come off. And then it didn't get picked up, and never got made. This could happen with here too. And you know what? If we get that one episode and it nails it, I could live with that.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat with Soup. As long as you have the right people at the head of it. I mean, this isn't Warner Brothers or Marvel Studios trying to milk it. These are people who know their audience, they know their target audience, they know the source material, and they actually care about it. So as long as those things are the priority, I will give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really think this could be an amazing TV show. But I think a lot of why I like The Wicked and the Divine is the way it looks. And I think when you have like TV adaptations of comic books, a lot of the time because it's easy to, but the look isn't always there. And I'd be really disappointed to see that McKelvey and Wilson's work doesn't get translated well. Matt Wilson does some really amazing things on colors, and if a TV show is going to get made, it has to capture the neon look of a lot of these pages. Yeah, but I think it could be great. I think it could be like a huge hit with people, especially younger people. Like I think if you put like a 18-year-old, maybe a little bit younger, 16-year-old, you put this on the right channel that they actually have, and this could be big. I know that we all really like it when shows get on HBO or Showtime because they can do whatever they want. Um, but I wouldn't be against like an AMC having this show, because I think this is something that a lot of young people could get into, and if they don't have these channels or they can't access them like an HBO, then I think they might be missing out a little bit. I don't know. I'm just trying to like widen it to everybody.
Make it accessible.
I think that you should put it on Netflix then. You can do
Yeah,
whatever you
well,
want
that too.
and
That too.
on all their devices.
Well,
Yeah,
and here's the
AMC or
thing.
Netflix.
And here's the thing with Netflix. Netflix just announced that they're going to put on their very first like original major motion picture starring Brad Pitt.
Mm.
So this is Netflix is kind of becoming. I mean, if Netflix wasn't already a big deal, it's going to be a huge deal. Because you have them getting Emmy nominations left and right for their original programming. Daredevil, I think, was a huge success. I mean, I don't know really. I know there are people who didn't like it, but I think the consensus is that it was really good, and that was a show that got to be mature and do what it needed to do, and still be something you could let a teenager watch. Um, but yeah, Netflix would be great.
I agree. Oh
Do you
gosh.
guys have any? Do you guys? I know we talked about how hard it is to fan cast. At least for me, I'm not very good at it. But do you have anybody you'd really like to see on this show? I mean, we're still very far out from that stage, but if you had to cast it right now, what would you want to happen? Who would you
I
want to
mean,
see?
I mean, despite her age, I still have to personally go for Antonia Thomas for Laura. I mean, she pretty much nails the look, and I think for those who have watched Misfits, she would pretty much nail the attitude too. Like I think she would really work.
I like Catherine Winnick as Lucy. That's Lagertha from the Vikings show on History Channel.
Oh yes, her. I love her.
Is she the same person people want to see play Captain Marvel?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
her.
yeah.
But she would be. I was just thinking about somebody because you mentioned Natalie Dormer for Lucy
Yeah.
when we were discussing this, and I was kind of made the connection because Natalie Dormer has also kind of had her name thrown around for Captain Marvel, and it bounced along that sphere for Winnick. I was like, yes, that would be so good. So that's the only one I
Yeah.
can really because I would love to see these characters come fully formed, evolved into
Yeah.
life, into personification, which means that I don't want to recognize really anybody from anybody, anything else.
Yeah.
I want to be, because I'm a horrible man. Every time I see somebody from my favorite show that I saw them in, they are not their actor's name. They are their character's name the most. For example, Punisher Warzone. That's that movie where Titus Pillow plays Punisher, right?
It
Yeah.
is. But yeah.
Wait, what was that?
That's what I said too when I saw him because I was a big fan of Rome. I was like, hey, what's he doing here? He's not the Punisher.
Dude, every time you see Syrian Hines, do you go, Caesar?
Yeah. I tried. My friend watches Grey's Anatomy. I was like, see, he's not a doctor. He shouldn't be there.
But I
Um,
would bring that to a show like this. I want everybody to be fresh and new.
I have just one thing that absolutely needs to happen, and I'm willing to crowdfund this.
I know what this
I
is
think
gonna be.
I think Kanye West needs to appear as Ball at
I
least for
know it.
one or two episodes. I will help kickstart this. We will raise like $1 million because he will not show up for less than that, and he will not show up for less than $1 million. And I think we can do it. Like imagine it, like Kanye. Like he wouldn't even need to be made up. Like he would just show up in his regular street clothes. And it's like, well, there you go. Don't even give him a script.
Yeah, just whatever.
Just let him go. Right around him.
All I know is that I need to see him fighting Lucy. I need to see him fighting Lucy.
Oh, that would be so good. Yo, it's my
Yeah.
pussy. Okay, I thought of a bad case. I might have brought it up, okay? A particular job at the moment. I think this is going to be interesting. Matt Ryan as Baphomet.
Oh.
Ooh, yeah, that would be good, especially since,
Yes.
damn show got canceled. Oh,
That would work.
that's for another podcast, but but yeah, I think he'd be a really good Baphomet. But I have seen the woman that Jadobi has in mind, and I think she nails the look very well. But I kind of want to see a teenager. It would be really fun. Just because I think that would be the best way to capture the variety for the character. Yeah, but I'm not particularly picky about these things, but I just want to see Kanye on this TV show. Like somebody seriously needs to make that happen. Like I don't want to hear it. Like he needs to do it.
You realize that would
Like I'm gonna tweet him. Like can you be on this show?
I'm
Look, you are all of you. And then everyone tweet Kim Kardashian to convince for her to convince him.
she can play Sekhmet.
Yeah, she could be in it too. We'll give her a part, and then they come together, and there's no reason to say no.
Exactly.
I don't know
It
if the
would
world's
be wonderful. This is what would happen if you gave me the budget for this show. I'd
Oh, wait,
spend it
hold
all
on.
on getting Kanye on the show.
I know who I want to play Amaterasu. I keep forgetting her name. The actress who plays Sansa in Game of Thrones.
Oh,
Oh, Sophie Turner.
Sophie Turner, yes.
I love her.
I want her to be Amaterasu.
she would be so good.
She could be in whatever. I think she's wonderful. Like seriously, like she could be in whatever. I'd be fine with it. Yeah. So that's possibly a thing that's happening.
In our little
Not anytime soon. So yeah, we are gonna be on a break, I guess, because the series is on a break. But because we took a couple weeks to film because I was at a convention and it just was not the right time to do it. We're gonna be back with a new issue in like 4 weeks.
Yep.
It's the 11th, and the next issue is out in July. But I did make a slight error when I talked about the next issue. The cover is Tara is 13 or 14. She's definitely one of the covers though, because we're now going from their heads to their torsos. So expect that the arc after this will have covers of just shoes, because that's the next logical place, right? Like shoes.
Yep.
Yeah, in maybe a month's time. I'm not sure of the date on number 12, but I can check that out. Yeah, and we won't be on here talk. We've talked about the entire every single issue separately, so we won't be doing. Our episode was the entire first arc. We won't be doing that now. Go through each one of these months. 12 will be trying to find the date. We can mark it down. Comixology has it listed for yeah, it's just I'm very excited for number 12. Because the solicitations don't give away a lot, so you don't know what's gonna happen, which I really like. I don't like solicits that tell you the entire story before you get the booking, and you're like, oh well, thanks for spoiling the twist, right?
What a twist.
But it's that is one of my biggest nitpicks about things is that I always get told the twist before it happens through solicitations.
Exactly. Horrible
It's a
people.
podcast.
There's a special circle in hell for those people.
Nice things happens to their no-nos.
Exactly.
Oh. Oh.
Okay, so
I'm not going to do that. And not,
so we are actually not very far away from this issue at all. It's listed for July 1st.
Ooh.
Uh, yeah, DCBS has it listed for July 1st. So we are really, really close to the next issue. Um, it doesn't seem like it's that long of a wait, but there is a month between. It's just that we filmed a little late. So that's awesome because you read the book and now a couple weeks later you have us. And it's like your wait for the next issue isn't very long at all. You're welcome, listeners.
well, let's go with that.
So, if you have not read the series yet, but for some reason listening to us, the next trade is out shortly. I don't have the date in front of me for the second trade, but that should be like a couple weeks from now. It usually comes out before the next issue. Um, let's see. Wicked Volume 2 Fandemonium is listed for this month, but they don't have a date. So definitely just check that out on the image.com website. You could simply type The Wicked into the search bar and it'll come right up. And yeah, we will be back shortly, thankfully, which I'm happy about because I hate waiting forever. It's a month, but it's gonna fly right by. So before we get out of here, since we're gonna be off the air for a few weeks, do you guys have? I mean, this is not Wicked related, I guess, but do you guys have any comic book suggestions you'd like to make to people who might be Wicked, might be their first comic, and they aren't reading anything else, but they should be because there's a lot. The last couple of years of comics has been amazing. There's something for everyone. So do you guys have any comic book suggestions for our listeners?
The Sandman. Oh wait, no. I was going to say. Let's go something different then. You should know that I would say the Sandman, but I would like to suggest. I brought him up earlier in the podcast, but Warren Ellis, and one of his best bodies of work to me, just from beginning, middle to very last panel. And I think anybody who hasn't gotten into comics until they were drawn in by a story of this magnitude and maturity, Transmetropolitan. Oh my God!
Great, amazing.
Amazing. That book shaped me like my worldview. And just to get you into it, think an unspecified future in an unspecified futuristic metropolis, and you have the futures version of Hunter S. Thompson just wrecking chaos upon reality as a freelance journalist working to just shape the world in its bastard image. It's a beautiful book, every bit of it. And it's hilarious, and it's gross, and it's fun. So I recommend that to the listeners.
Okay. Do you have any series that are currently going that you might want to suggest too?
Saga, Rat
Saga.
Queens, anything. How about Death Vigil?
Now you just knocked out two of mine.
Ah,
See, um, We're going with this. Bitch Planet. There we go.
The Bitch Planet's very good. Yep.
Pretty much go to your shelf. Look at the two sides that say Marvel and DC. You take your chance with those at your will, but pick up anything with Image right now, and you're probably going to get something. You get something out of it, no matter what it is.
What about you, Jadobi? Any comic book suggestions for our listeners?
Well, I'm a big sci-fi fantasy guy, so my suggestions are this. You have Five Ghosts from Image. You have Shaper from Dark Horse.
Dark
You
Horse.
got you got Wayward from Image. You got that's the other one I'm thinking of. Birthright. Yeah. Yeah, those. Those are worth picking up. All of them. Make sure you read them.
All right. Well, I read a shit ton of comics. It's kind of ridiculous. So I'm gonna try to give you something from like each of the big publishers that I think you guys will enjoy. Let's see. So okay, if you're enjoying The Wicked and the Divine, Black Mask Comics is a new publisher that is putting out comics that I basically like to describe as what would happen if punk rock music just stopped being music and became just physical comic books. That's what Black Mask is. Um, you have We Can Never Go Home, you have Space Riders, you have Mayday, you have the new Steve Niles book, The Disciples. They're um, they're not superhero books. They're not really sci-fi books. They're a little bit of everything, and they're amazing books. It's a brand new publisher, and I don't think they've done a single bad book. They have a lot of attitude, a lot of the punk rock vibe. It's great stuff. But yeah, definitely check out anything from Black Mask. Um, as far as the big two go, probably not the best time to get into Marvel because they're knee deep in a whole thing right now. But if you like Wicked, I think you'll enjoy the new Batgirl book. It's kind of got the same aesthetic. It's much younger, much more in tune with like this generation, much cooler, I guess, than past Batgirl books. Gotham Academy is pretty cool. This series is going to be over soon, but this is a really cool paranormal series about witches called Coffin Hill. That's from Vertigo. That's a really cool series. Um, as far as Image goes, you really can't go wrong. I'd say Saga if you're not reading Saga. I don't know how you're not reading Saga, but you should be reading Saga.
Stop. Stop.
Copperhead is this really cool space western. It's very different than Wicked, but it's got an amazing lead character. Death Vigil helps support that book. Because that's on life support right now, and it has a lot left to tell us. So,
Free.
um, oh, Bitch Planet is awesome. I love that book so much. Soup had suggested some Warren Ellis. Warren Ellis just started a new series called Injection with Declan Shalvey and Jordi Belair. It's just starting, so in typical Warren Ellis fashion, you really don't know what the story is just yet. Um, but it's got amazing art. Definitely check that out. But those are the books you should check out. Image, you can't go wrong with the first trades for $10. But yeah, I would stay away from Marvel for a couple of months. Maybe in the fall, try to jump into all that new stuff. But right now, they're knee deep in Secret Wars, so like none of that is new reader accessible at all. But not at all. DC this week and last week just started all their new jumping on points and new series. So if you're looking to get into like superhero comics, that might be worth going to your store and checking out. A couple of those are all brand new storylines, new jumping on points. So far in the first 2 weeks, they've been true to their word. These are like brand new. They might as well have slapped a number one on it, but they didn't. I don't know. But definitely check those out if you're looking to get into the big two. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in comics. If Wicked is your first one, bite the bullet and get some more because there's a lot of cool stuff happening and you don't want to miss all of it. So we will see you guys in a few weeks and with more Wicked. I am Jess Camacho. I'm the comic editor for Geek.Nation and a contributor to Multiversity Comics. You can find me on Twitter at Camacho Jess. And my co-host, you want to tell everybody where they can find you and whatnot?
I'm Soup Owens Fowler. You can find my reviews, and my last review was of this issue, and it was pretty much damn the whole way through. It was a little bit more verbal than that, but you can find me there. You can find me on Twitter at Soup Owens Fowler. You can get a hold of me if you needed to do that. If not, then I'm just your gothic cowboy right here, smoking clove off in the world with you somewhere.
And I'm Jadobe Dunze. I'm co-editor at Geeked Out Nation, and Twitter handle is Nugent X-Men. And remember, it was never going to be okay.
All right, so check this out on geekedoutnation.com, and we will see you guys in about a month with issue 12 and a brand new story arc. See you guys.
Later.
Bye.